Imagine your toys having a heart and emotion. Would you be able to throw them out as easily as you did before? Well, that point said, I wanted to talk about how toys, thank goodness toys are plastic and don't have emotion or a heart, but animals do. And stated by the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, each year 5 to 7 million animals enter the shelter. Of the 5 to 7 million, 3 to 4 million animals are euthanized. I want to share a little. I did adopt my 7-year-old Chihuahua from the shelter like 2 years ago. And since then, I wanted to tell people how it's beneficial to adopt instead of buying from a pet store. So I wanted to tell you the benefits of, or how adopting your pet is beneficial to you, beneficial to the animals, and beneficial for your community. A lot of you might be thinking why it's beneficial for you to be adopting your pet, but if you are taking into consideration of a new pet, it'll save you hundreds of dollars if you adopt it from a shelter, because sometimes adoption are free and sometimes it can range up to $100, which is only 1/10 of the price you might be paying if you go to a pet store. And stated by a researcher, Alan McConnell of Miami University, we observed evidence that pet owners fared better, both in terms of well-being outcomes and individual differences, than non-owners on several dimensions. Specifically, pet owners have greater self-esteem, were more physically fit, tended to be less lonely, were more conscientious, were more extroverted, tended to be less fearful, and tended to be less preoccupied than non-owners. So pets do make you happy, and I think if you spend less money and get a pet that's gonna make you happy, I think it's beneficial. And also you have an option of selecting a pet that doesn't consume a lot of your time, which is if you get a puppy, it's gonna take a lot of your time because you have to train it, you have to be there so it grows. But like I said, when I got my Chihuahua, it's already full grown and it was potty trained already, so it was easier for me to go to work, come back, and take care of it and walk the dog later. But if it's a puppy, it would have been hard for me to go to work, come back, go to school, because I have to be on call with the dog. My second point is how it is beneficial for the animals. I get nervous when I see a lot of people looking at me. When you adopt, you're actually saving 2 lives instead of 1, because when you're adopting the pet that you're taking home with you and taking care of, and also you're giving a spot to another stray animal that will be on the streets and might be dead. And the Humane Society of the United States states that most shelters examine and give vaccination to animals when they arrive, which means the animals that they pick up are examined and vaccinated. And if they are examined, they have the chance of finding out the diseases that they had or preventing the diseases that they will have. And lastly, how it is beneficial to your community. When you adopt your animal, you're not funding the factory-style dog breeding facilities, which are the pet stores, and dog breeders put profit above the welfare of the dog. So even if you pay thousands of dollars for your dog, they have a high possibility that they might die within the 3 years because they're sick or they haven't been taken care of. And estimated by the USA Today, it costs about $105 per animal to be picked up, get examined, get fed, and if they don't get adopted, to get euthanized. That's a total of $105. When you go to a shelter and adopt, they get vaccinated, fed, spayed, all that for $100, and the shelters are recovering that money, which they can use for another stray animal to be picked up off the streets. if we don't adopt, we're paying taxes for the dogs to be euthanized. So we're basically paying for murder. So in conclusion, I've given you the reasons why adopting a pet from the shelter is beneficial to you, to the animals, and to your community. So I'm not telling you to go out and adopt as many pets as you can. Please do consider that you have to be taking care of these pets. But if you are considering getting a pet soon, it's not just dogs, it could be cats. They even have birds and sometimes like iguanas and stuff. So please do consider adopting instead of buying from a pet store because you're saving 2 lives instead of 1. Thank you.
So Brian, share your thoughts, please.
Well, good organization, that's the good thing. It's very clear what she's talking about. The beginning, I think it was very clear as well. Beginning, middle, and end. The things that I thought could have been fixed were when she mentioned how she got nervous in front of everybody, that automatically shows that there's a part of her that's not confident, so that's really not the best thing to do in a speech. And I think she could have read less from the note cards. She wasn't reading the note cards the whole time, but I did notice that she referred to them quite a lot. So less reading from the note cards would have been better. And this might be a little pet peeve, but I noticed her constantly stepping back a little bit every now and then. I felt that probably staying firm or just, minimal body movement would have been better. But other than that, I like the organization.
Okay. Well, purposeful body movement I think is fine, but I think what you're talking about is sort of the nervous movement. You're shifting your feet, you're stepping back and forth, you're shifting your weight, that sort of thing. And you get a little bit of that. Plus, of course, you have the one incident where you suddenly freaked out because everybody was looking at you. Stop looking at me. I'm not sure that that's the best way to handle it, but I thought you laughed it off reasonably well, and you recovered. It was okay, so I wouldn't panic too much about that. But remember, people are going to be looking at you. That's what happens when public speaking occurs. People expect to pay attention to you, and you want to be in a position where that's not something you feel awkward about. It's something that you feel good about because you're talking about something that's important. I thought that the opening was pretty good. You've got a pretty good visualization. I thought for sure I was going to get a Toy Story reference. I'm going, think how hard it would be if Woody and Buzz really did talk and had hearts. Would you get rid of them that way? And everybody goes, oh no, we wouldn't be doing that sort of thing. Well, here you have animals that do this kind of thing. And I thought, okay, so this is going to be a speech about not abandoning animals, but it's actually going the other direction. Let's acquire some of these toys kind of things. Let's get these animals. And I'm going, oh, well, that's a little bit different. So even though I like the analogy that you're drawing, I don't think it's quite as strong as it could be. It does seem to be going in a little bit opposite direction of what you're setting us up for. So there's a little inconsistency there. Brian's right, it's organized structurally. The problem is that the material in the structure is not organized according to the structure. You're jumping around on points. There are like 2 or 3 times when you've got this idea about the advantage of adopting for people in another spot that doesn't have anything to do with people. Or, for instance, I like the theme that you have. There's a good point there. You're actually saving 2 lives, the dog that you rescue and the dog who's going to be able to take that spot in the shelter. And then you kind of undermine it. And, by the way, when you're paying for all this, well, I guess we are paying for dog murder. I'm not sure that really helps your cause in that particular situation. So there's a little bit of inconsistency there. You have the idea of organizing and structuring the material, but fitting the stuff the supporting material into that structure, that doesn't seem like it's as well planned, and it feels very randomized there. On the presentation issues, I thought your voice was pretty good. You had good energy, and you project well, so you're solid there. I didn't notice that you were going to the cards too much, but I do notice that they are there. And for instance, you did hide behind them at that one point when you got a little nervous. You put the cards up in front of your face, so that's a little bit awkward. I think you want to avoid letting your anxiety get the best of you. Like I said, you laughed it off, and that's the way you need to do it. You are okay. You recovered reasonably well. All right. Thank you.